Okay, welcome to Life Force Canada. I am Karen, and as you know, I'm here every Monday. We are moving through a challenging time. We are waking up to many different levels of reality. Awakening is really liberating and excruciating, empowering, lonely, confusing, expansive, frightening, and freeing journey. Some of you are struggling with feeling disconnected from your family and friends. It's as though they exist in another reality. If you find yourself struggling as you try to process all this crazy insanity, you are not alone. We are in uncharted territory, and your mind, right, and heart is being stretched to new experiences, and you will never return to that old dimension of reality. We're not here to go back into the past. So we invite you to keep expanding your life with us. I'm just going to mute again here. And again, the chat is open, so please say hello and let us know where you're from. Hello, Dorothy from Fort McMurray. Hello, Shannon from Brockville. Wonderful. Yes, stretch to say the least. Exactly. If you are new here, I do recommend that you listen to the Monday replays on our Life Force Canada YouTube channel so that you can find out more about who we are. And please subscribe so that you can receive the notifications. Hello, Laurie from North Vancouver. Kendra, Red Deer. Woohoo! Okay, we are here to educate you on how to prepare for change that is coming and how you can really co-create a self-governing system. This is what we're here to do. So from last week or the last 2 weeks, how many of you are no longer wearing a mask in a grocery store or any store? This is where our power is. If we really want to step out of that matrix system, right? This is about us claiming our power. Good for you, Tanis. Excellent. Yes. It's amazing how so many people believe they need to wear the mask when we've been free ever from the very beginning. Never had to, right? So I know that in Alberta, we've never had to wear a mask in Safeway, Superstore, Sunterra. Well, there was a brief moment in Sunterra where you had to. But all in all, the big chain stores you've never had to. And the amazing thing is that the last 6 months, everyone has been very kind and respectful, 100%. Our journey today is I'm going to be inspiring you to be fearless, of course, and to take action in our plan councils or in the think tanks. It's easier than you think. And we're going to go through that peaceful non-compliant script. I trust you all received yours. And then I'm going to share the Vatican video on how our system was. And then I'm going to share a video by Kim in how the system has been taken down. And then we are going to move through a meditation. So I'm going to be taking you on a guided meditation today as you walk through the world without a mask on. And it's not just about the mask, right? This is about you being in that peaceful, non-compliance, powerful sovereignty into full potential of who you are. And I know that people, if you have an employer that's forcing you to wear a mask, I get it. There are so many people who are being forced, and It's very unfair and very unkind. And it's right now, if we were to ask ourselves, what is it that I can do right now? What is it I can do right now that is going to assist me in creating the new earth? And I say this every week, it is those masks, because I am seeing, as you are seeing, everyone out there is wearing one. It's very rare that I see anyone not wearing one in a store. And so this is the step one. We need to let go of the fear of conflict, the fear of judgment, the fear of what other people think. And I'm going to be sharing this until one day I walk into the store and no one's wearing a mask. It is so important for us to know that we are step by step, baby steps, not complying in the system. Because every time that you are wearing a mask, the devil's saying, gotcha. And that's the inner demon within the mind that says, oh, this is what I need to do. And that little demon inside the mind is lying. It's continually lying. And this is why people are so indoctrinated, is because they're listening to that voice inside, that fearful self. And we need to dissolve all of our fears right now. And this is why I wanted to really step into talking about the script, that peaceful non-compliant script, even though it's focusing on police and peace officers or someone coming to your home. In order for you to have the power to move through that experience, you need to have the power to move through the experience in a store, in any store, in a restaurant, wherever you are in the world. And because if you are fearful of others out there, the fear towards outer authority is going to be even more intensified. And so we need to look at all the levels of what we have, where we've been indoctrinated ourselves, even though we're in the freedom movement. And I get it. It is a struggle out there. And it's really, really important for all of us to be able to stand and breathe through everything that we are experiencing, to breathe in that life force energy. So let's just do that right now. Let's breathe in that life force energy that sustains us, bringing that life force energy all the way down into our belly. Releasing, letting go. Oh, Deborah, thank you for sharing that. Yay. We need to experience that more and more. Todd, you have something to share?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Todd.
I wish everybody great health and great wealth and love and humanity. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm new here. I've been working with the Indigenous peoples and constitutional scholars, and I have great information to share with you regarding the Queen's Bargain document and within regard to the government and their fictitious grammar. We have evidence that the government or a corporation of Canada has no authority. And I would just love to share that with your viewers whenever you feel it appropriate.
Thank you, Todd. Well, I'll see what time we have at the end of the call. We do have a Q&A at the end of the call before our meditation, so love for you to share. Absolutely. Thank you, Todd. Yes, the Corporation of Canada is no more. Thank you. Okay, so I trust everyone's been enjoying the David Straight videos. And you remember he was talking about the soul print. I'm going to be sharing a video about that shortly. But right now I'm going to share the script with everyone. Peaceful non-compliance. Okay, so when you see the words, what to say, please come to your door, I want you to make sure that in your mind, you are visualizing the future that you want to create for yourself. So that if anything ever happens in the future, that you are manifesting a police officer, a policy enforcer who is kind and respectful. That is key. Because if we allow our imagination to take over, we can manifest something that we really don't want. And you are powerful manifestors. Okay, so I share here that it's important to practice this script in your mind every day so that you begin to feel your own inner authority activating. This is what we want to do. So remember to state the following words out loud in a calm and respectful tone. And this is something that you can do in your home. I recommend that you take that script that I gave you in the email today and print it out and just paste it out somewhere in your home so that you get to that place where you're expressing these words and owning them. This is what it's all about. You're owning your own power, your sovereign power. And again, you can always create that beautiful intention or prayer. And I'm just giving you an example here, but you can say whatever you want, whatever feels good in your heart. And always remembering, I am in peaceful non-compliance. If a police officer, health official arrives at your business or home, the best thing to do is, again, not answer your door. And if you do come face to face with a perceived outer authority, this is the script that you can state out loud. According to the law, you have signed an oath to protect me. I am in my lawful right to assemble on this property. I am peaceful and this is private property. I do not consent to this bylaw. According to law, I am not breaking the law. I do not consent to any COVID act. If you try to enforce a mandate, bylaw, or act which is not a law that I do not consent to, you will be held personally responsible. I'm giving you notice. I'm exercising my lawful rights. You must leave this property now. You have no right to be here. I'm holding you personally accountable, not as a police officer, but as a person. In the very bottom part there, I say, most importantly, stay calm. So this is where you want to focus on your breath. And this is why the meditations at the end of this call are always preparing you to be in that peaceful state of mind. Because police have been trained to intimidate you. And that's really what we fear, is that intimidation. And most people are not mastered in their emotional body, and they're not mastered mentally. And they know this. And so then most people, because they don't have self-mastery, become aggressive. And that's when they can arrest you. So here we are manifesting a very different reality where you hold the power. And so here again, the only other words that you want to share other than the script that I just shared with you is you want to ask for the officer's name, badge number, who their senior officer is, and badge number. If they ask for your name, you can say, I'm a living woman or man. Or you can say no comment. Or you can say, my counsel advises me to state no comment. If they ask any other questions, you just repeat above script again in a calm and respectful voice. And you keep repeating it until they leave. And that's all you want to say. And the mind will attempt to create other words. And as David mentioned, it's your words that get you into trouble. He says, just shut the up. Right? So you want to, this is why you want to practice the script, because this is, you don't want to say anything more than this. And I saw a video, this is back in 2020, and there was a woman in the UK, and she was out at a rally, and there was probably 20 police officers out at this rally. And she stated this script right here that I'm giving you. This script here, it wasn't private property. So she wasn't referring to private property. What she was referring to is that they could assemble. They had the right to assemble in a peaceful assembly. Anyway, she stated this over and over and over again. I would say probably 10 times. And the one police officer, he left, and his senior officer came over, and she must have stated it again to him about 10 times. And I would say within 30 minutes, all of those 20 officers left the scene, every single one of them. But it took her, in her peaceful non-compliance, to shift and create a completely different reality. And so this does work if you're in that confident and calm self, right? Your higher self. And we all have this capacity. We all have this ability to face anyone. And so this is where, if we look at our ego, the ego can believe that we're going to be threatened. This is with a fear of conflict. And the amazing thing is if you look at the ego mind, it will create the fear of conflict even in the most loving relationships. You are being called to really reflect on the mindset that we have when we see everyone outside of ourselves as an enemy, especially those we love. So it's practicing peaceful non-compliance in every area of our life. Yes, Donna, they do carry a business card. Police officers do have business cards, 100%. And so we're being called right now to really allow for self-mastery to show up, so that we are no longer afraid of any other human being, because we're here to acknowledge the soul within everyone. And as you do, when you walk into a store, people are just going to be smiling, and they're going to be so friendly with you. And they may even ask you, hey, do you know what aisle the coffee's on? Right? So this is why right now it's key for all of us to really shift in to no longer being afraid of outer authority. Todd.
I apologize. I'm quite vocal and active. My only question is, does everybody here realize that this is a genocidal agenda, and that we have to kind of focus a bit more on holding some of these people accountable?
Yes,
like
Todd,
I'm just asking, like I'm new here, so I've just thought I'd ask.
Yes, I do recommend that you look into our Life Force Canada YouTube channel. I do believe we've got many videos there, that share what we're all about. We are very aware of the genocide, 100%. And we are co-creating a self-governing system so that we can step out of this Luciferian corrupt system. And yes, we know that we do not need provincial governments, federal government. We are our own government, the people's government. And we are creating we call them plan councils. They're a sovereign assembly. They're a de jure council across Canada. And we have them in the majority of all the provinces. And now we're putting the call out for people to create their plan councils in their towns and cities now, so that we can be sovereign. And we do this now from the place of coming together and supporting one another, because in the past, as I mentioned before, it's been a very difficult journey for one person to become sovereign. And and so we all know what's being created here. And yeah, everyone here is awake. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that. Okay. And yes, he's definitely among like-minded people, 100%. Joanna.
Hi, everyone. Really glad to be here. I missed last week, but I came across some type of documentary where it was a lady speaking about a virus that still hasn't even come out in 2028 or something, called something weird. And actually, in the video that I watched, she posted newspapers that were dated forward in the future that are supposed to get released. I haven't looked much into it, but it's scary and it's definitely good to be here. So thank you.
We're really glad that you're here, 100%. Yeah, it's the system that we've been in has been, of course, the death care system. And it's been a system where we know that the Dark Lords are doing everything they can, right? Poisoning our food and our water, the air, all of it. And as we step out of that system, we're not going to have to worry about anything anymore. We are the co-creators to the new earth. And in Life First Canada, we have the 9 pillars. And as you step into all the think tanks, you then begin to create the solutions on the world that we want, right? How can we move forward and create the world that we want to see? So I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I did promise DK 2 weeks ago I was going to play this video. It is on the work called Christopher James. He teaches common law, and I highly recommend, if you haven't seen his videos, to check him out. There is a lot of information that he does share in regards to common law. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because it's important for us to see where we were. Some people are just waking up. There's people like me and so many who've woke up decades ago, but there are people who are just waking up right now. And so it's important to begin to see the system that we're in, because the reason I'm sharing it with you is because I want you to get so ignited and the fire in you to say, yes, I am ready to serve. How can I help? How can I assist? How can I move forward? And where can I put my energy? And we need volunteers right now across Canada in all of the plan councils. I'm trusting there's a few people here that are putting in the plan council websites, because whatever province you're in, this is where our power lies, and all come as we come together in our de jure councils. Okay. And what they do to us when we're born, they did do to us. Okay, take a deep breath in. So we are on the path in our health and wellness committees to making sure that all babies that are born are sovereign. And as we move forward, it's knowing that that system is complete, it's in a completion cycle right now. And Kim Gogan has made everyone sovereign, and I'm going to be playing a video now to show you the other side, because I think it's important for you to see. I know there's many here that already know all this information. However, there's new people that are watching the replays, and I want to make sure that you know that that system is collapsing, and you are a part of the change. You are the change. And we need more people standing, not just in freedom, not just in truth, but we need you saying, yes, I want to create a plan council so that we can come together and stop these systems within our own provinces. We are here to create the sovereign laws, in a natural law system, do no harm to others. Okay, so now I'm going to play.
So let's continue on with talking about, next we're going to talk about treaties and why these people are issuing bonds against not only birth certificates, and we're also going to go over, just for a brief minute, why this plan of theirs to issue these death bonds are not going to work. So, in the world of legalities and sovereignty, okay, at the top of the list, you have, and it's in every agreement, just so you know, no name country. You also have or unknown country. So no name country or unknown country always has been what we call the trust. Legally speaking, it is not a trust. It is not registered in like Switzerland or some place. It is actually no name country. It is a sovereign entity unto itself. It has an intelligence agency. It has a lot of things that have been registered underneath that over the years. I mean, it's not the CIA, just so you know. So that is where we came up with a couple of weeks ago about the Global Intelligence Agency, which always used to function on behalf, it used to be Black Sun, and then it would function on behalf of Rothschild. Well, now that's no longer the case because they lost access to even register anyone. So now that's us. So that is how I have the permission, because this has been in existence since the 40s. So that's how I had permission to add all these people with all these high clearances. And it's always functioned above NATO. NATO used to take orders from the GIA. Now NATO's taking orders from the Black Sun directly, because probably claiming to be the global office of the directorate, but they're really not. So that's not true. So if you're getting orders from the global directorate office and you happen to be watching this, it is either us or no one else. So ask them to prove it next time. Okay, so now underneath no name country as it relates to nations, okay, we're not talking about control systems of the world here, we're just talking about nations, because it's important. You would have had the United Nations. Now you remember a few weeks back, we talked about the fact that we would say, and in the words of the Viking, he would say that the United Nations is neither owned by the Black Sun nor Rothschild Group, right? These are two different factions. So it's a shared organization. Okay, and then you have Rothschild Group. Now you may or may not remember the Vatican was not a part of the United Nations. And a few years back, they invited the Pope, Pope Francis, to the United Nations meeting, trying to get him to join. So we know that the Vatican in the Holy See is over here. Okay. And Vatican City would be underneath there. Okay. So right now in the United Nations, you have 6 seats. Because remember, the no name unknown country is the one that actually formed the United Nations and formerly the League of Nations. Okay. Now we have 6 seats in here, which are currently being held by these people. However, they're called the Steering Committee, the United Nations Steering Committee. Is that true? The answer is no. They shouldn't have those seats anymore. We actually should, because they're not running unknown or no name country anymore. And the world knows it by now. Otherwise, Palestine would have been a country. I don't think that South Sudan, is formally registered within the United Nations as of yet either. But why is this important to all of you? Okay. Well, right now we discussed sister organization, IMF, World Bank. This would also go for the Singapore Development Bank, the South African Development Bank, the IBEC in Russia. I can't remember. I think the one in Singapore is the one that controlled most of the investments until the AIIB in China. So all of these organizations would be sub-organizations underneath the World Bank. The World Bank is not just an American institution, it is global. And the idea behind doing all of this was to create 7 main sovereigns of the world that they control in 7 currencies. We've all heard about TRNs and all of these things. Well, that was going to be the base fiat currency for the entire world. The treasury of the world, no longer treasury of USA or treasury of China. Okay. So we have the IMF, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization. Now, why do we have all of these things? Well, let's see, what do they do? Okay. The IMF uses some kind of strange math I haven't yet figured out. No matter how many ways I run functions, algorithms, analysis, I cannot figure out how they come out with the number of what a currency is worth anywhere in the world. It's not a real thing. There's no math that supports what they're saying. Because how could you have a country like Singapore, say, as an example, whose GDP is around almost $500 billion, just shy, and their currency is worth about 6 times or six of their currency to $1 US. But then you have the entire European Union, which GDP really isn't a whole lot higher than that. And then why is the euro worth more than the dollar? It all has to do with math, just so you know. But the point is that it doesn't make any kind of financial, economic, macro or micro sense. So do I agree with the fact there has to be an actual reset that is dependent on some kind of a level of accountability? Well, in this case, we're talking about gold, right? As was discussed last week at the G20. Now, the World Bank, they used to give out free money only to their corporations. So they had a little caveat put into the World Trade Organization, which formerly was called the GATT. So the GATT was the predecessor name of the World Trade Organization. So the World Trade Organization is where you have all your big corporates registered. And at the time, everybody wanted to be a part of the World Trade Organization because you didn't have to pay any customs, you didn't have to pay any tariffs. If you remember a few weeks back in the news, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. They had discussed all those imports that were coming in from Israel with no customs and no tariffs. Well, now you understand why China wasn't paying. Trump has even discussed this in the news, that China's not paying any customs and tariff fees. So along with the repository, which is the database that was created by me, being directly connected to the presidential terminal this week and working, and he's spending the money now that would change the internet protocol, just so you know. So we're working, and I'm doing the best that I can to try to get it to all the banks as well this week, I hope. So depending on time. So the GATT and the World Trade Organizations is where they would get their projects from the World Bank. So you would submit your project to the World Bank and you would get a World Bank or a United Nations supplier number. Okay, that all sounds really great in the beginning, but it's not. Okay, so if you get money as a private project owner or a nation from the World Bank, you also must only use United Nations suppliers. Now, in theory, that was actually to maintain the integrity of the project that you were doing. So you would have purportedly in the beginning, above standard product, you would have grade A steel, you would have all the things that you needed to build your power plant, your airport, your roads, whatever it was. But what it turned into was a giant siphon, okay? So we all know, as an example, we'll use this Halliburton. For those of you that don't know, and when they couldn't do that in a particular nation, they raised the cost of a bus ticket. Out there and says you need at least 4 countries to endorse you to be a nation. So once you've got the endorsement of 4 countries, then the United Nations would approve your sovereignty to be a nation. But are you really sovereign as a country? The answer to the question is no, because the final signature always had to come from no name or unknown country. And there's a large benefit to that. for the United Nations. So let's go through why that would happen. Let's talk about treaty law now. Okay, is everybody pretty much got that the United Nations sovereignty was cut off a few years back, done by us,
Right.
okay? And Black Sun and the Holy See was cut off. Okay. So why is this important information for you? So technically, every nation legally became a subsidiary of unknown country or no name country. But how did it happen, right? Let's talk about finances now, because this is how it happened. Okay, so you would approach the United Nations to be a member nation of the United Nations, which confirms your sovereignty. For some reason, if you are not a member of the United Nations, the world doesn't recognize you totally as a country, right? So it could be a tribal nation, it could be anybody. You're nobody unless you're a member of the United Nations. Why? Okay, so the United Nations, much like the Federal Reserve, was also a pass-through. Okay, so one thing you have to understand, regardless of the type of treaty, or whether it be Concords of Sea, multilateral treaty, and we'll go over what those mean. Everybody talks about filing your UCC to get out of the system. Absolutely not. You just became part of the system again. So anything you assign, like if you think you've got some assets in the ground and you're going to assign a UCC to it, oh, absolutely not. What you did is you just re-obligated yourself in a new section. That's all. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so we have the United Nations here as the pass-through. We already discussed unknown country, which is in the archives of the United States and many other nations. So what happens is a treaty. Okay, so the United Nations, when you join, makes you sign a treaty. A treaty is also called an instrument. Okay. So treaty is an instrument which also becomes a bond. Somewhere in there, you have assigned all your in-ground resources via the UN to unknown country. So if you are the United States or the Republic, it doesn't matter, because both of them are pledged. So you would be here. So you would be a sub-sovereign of a sub-sovereign of a sovereign. So in order for you to become sovereign, you have to get a treaty to legally release your nation. Now, wait a minute. So they also assigned all of you as United States citizens, and this goes for every nation in the world, okay? So no exception here. Through the World Court, which is also part of the United Nations, all of your citizens to the Vatican. And then the money would come out to Treasury. I don't know if you can still see this down here. Treasury of USA. Okay. Treasury of USA is not the United States Department of Treasury. So all of you trying to approach the Department of Treasury with your birth certificate bonds, trying to cash them in, they know nothing about whatever you're talking about. Why? Because these people were connected only to the Ways and Means Committee in the US. All Ways and Means Committees in the United States and other countries around the world, which most countries have one, are all directly reporting to the Ways and Means Committee in the House of Lords. Okay. Over here. Okay, in London. Okay, everyone in the world. It doesn't matter if you're in South Africa. It doesn't matter if you're in Australia. It doesn't matter if you're in Russia. It doesn't make a difference. This is where you're going to, okay? If you pay 80% or more, or could be as low as 50% in some countries, of your income tax, including from the IRS, including from the Russian tax authority, including from the South African authority, it doesn't matter where it's coming from, okay? It all goes this way. So we're gonna flow over here and I'm gonna explain to you how it used to work. All right, so Treasury of USA and the Ways and Means Committee would get their money from the Vatican. That is where your government, right, plural, sold your soul to. You can call it Admiralty law, maritime law, I don't really care. It's all militant order under Jesuits, whatever, right? Doesn't matter.
Literally, yeah.
To us. Yeah, because it doesn't. Okay, so why did they do this? Now, this was done with a treaty in 1666, and we know it as, yeah, I might be spelling this wrong, but SQB, everybody pronounces it differently. And that was done by the Crown. Crown Inc., which is owned by Rothschild. So Rothschild controls all of the Ways and Means committees. The way we already know that the Vatican is controlled by the Black Sun, who worked diligently for thousands of years for the Rothschild family, generation after generation, starting with Solomon. Okay. All right. So Ways and Means Committee in the United States would receive socio-humanitarian funding, and then it would end up somewhere around the Department of Treasury or Congress. Okay. Now, this happened in every nation in the world. Doesn't matter if you're Mexico, doesn't matter where you are, this is the same. Now, why? We'll talk about what that money was used for here in a little bit. Okay. Now, why did this happen? So, you're a nation, you signed a treaty to join the United Nations. Then that bond was sold, it was transferred to, because it became a financial instrument. So it would cost them money, right? This is their claim to fame. It would cost them money to give you money through the World Bank, right? You would get the perks of belonging to the IMF, who manipulates your currency. You would also get customs and tariffs reductions through the World Trade Organization. And you would get to be a member occasionally of the Security Council of the United Nations. So you might have a say as to who's going to destroy what.
Oh, I love Kim. She's so amazing. Yes, we are on the path to sovereignty, and Kim Gogan and her team are doing amazing work in the invisible realms. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to share both those videos today is to show you the dark system that we've been in for a very long time, centuries, and how in 2020 now, we are stepping into a whole completely new reality. And again, it started in 2012, and the structures are dissolving completely. And this is where we now get to, as I mentioned before, we get to create the new earth together. And I will share the link in regards to, so that you can watch the remainder and the beginning of Kim's incredible knowledge that she shares. I think that it's really, really important for all of us to really have that foundation and knowing of why we do what we do. Because when you know the truth of reality, that is going to again ignite you to say, yes, how can I move forward? What can I do? Okay, I'm going to open up for Q&A. And again, last week we did talk about our birth certificates. David Strait shares about birth certificates, and one of the questions came up was, do we still need to do the work in regards to moving ourselves out of those jurisdictions, right? The maritime law. And I wanted to make sure that we had the truth. And so Sandra did her homework. So thank you so much, Sandra, for finding that video for me. it can be difficult to take in all of that information. And again, it's really, really important as we move forward to breathe through it. It can be overwhelming. Again, it's really, really important for us to know it. Tracy.
My question, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My question is, so I have a birth certificate and I have my long form. Do I stick it in the mail and send it back to myself through registered mail so that I own myself?
I do believe that we don't have to do any of that anymore. Kim has been dissolving that whole structure and creating sovereignty. So all those structures are being dissolved right now. And so I'm going to say no to that, but I'll still continue to clarify that because I know how you feel. I have my birth certificate here on my desk the other day, and I do not want to belong to that system right now at all. And so there's a part of me that wants to burn it. But yeah, it's a lot of people are asking this question, Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Todd, yes. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you, everybody. I just want to, first of all, express my extreme gratitude for allowing me to be a part of this. I've heard great things about the work you're doing. I wanted to let you know that we have a copy of the Queen's Bargain and the document, which clearly shows its fictitious grammar. And all of these countries and systems are going down. And what I present to you with this background is the indigenous banking system, which is basically a trading post. And it's a preamble to how we could create a newer world without using currency at all. And what I hope to promote through time as we continue working together, uniting all of these freedom fighters in a huge consortium where we can finish ratifying our Constitution and creating laws based on God's law or natural law, and getting out of maritime admiralty law and common law. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm available anytime, 24/7. I'm at your disposal as well, Life Force Canada. And what we are doing is creating systems that are basically very natural and extremely easy to understand. So I just wanted to not plug the bank itself. Jacob Hiller was the developer of this bank. He was a native descendant of the Made Beaver dollar that they used to trade beaver pelts with Hudson's Bay Company. And as I mentioned, we have chased the history and lineage and family lineage down. And I just wanted to reiterate how this government is de facto, and we have every intention of basically just stepping completely out of their paradigm and not having to fight in a court of law or anything, and not use any resources to fight this monster, but just basically build our own utopian society and step out of theirs. So thank you very much. And like I said, I can't wait to work with you and your team to bring some of these beautiful people together where we could negotiate and ratify our constitutions and take our world back. So thank you for your time. And God bless you all for doing all your hard work. And like I said, we're not going to win it in the court of law. We're not going to win it with British Admiralty accredited registry. We're not going to do it that way. We're just going to build our own world, and we're doing it right now with many beautiful people. So thank you. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Todd. What province are you in again?
I'm in Edson, Alberta, and I'm working with many different Indigenous peoples, the Cree Energy, oil, Greenworks, off-grid technology, and what we call the Wargle, which was a World War I currency that depreciates in value. So we'll never deal with greed again. This currency traded 14 times faster than any other currency in the world at the time. And you have to get your head around that, 14 times more than any other currency in the world, because it had a depreciation value. People were forced to spend it, and that which builds communities and beautiful systems that can take our world back. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Can you send me an email, Karen@karenclassen.ca?
Happy to, yes. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I've reached out to Cree Nation here in Alberta. I haven't heard anything back yet, but we've reached out to the people of Salmon, and we are all about natural law, do no harm to others. And we know that we are definitely stepping into a very peaceful time, a prosperous time for all. And you're absolutely right. There will be no greed. It is very exciting on that level. Thank you for being here. Olga.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask Todd. He mentioned currency. How we find that currency? What is the name of it?
I would like to answer that if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, the Wurgle was invented by Silvo Gesell, and it's Worgel, and he designed it to, quote, rot like a potato on your shelf, unquote. So this currency was designed to depreciate, which would eliminate greed, and it also creates a paradigm where people were forced to spend it. And what we hoped to do was give market dominance with a labor-backed dollar and a asset-backed dollar only. So therefore, we will never ever create a fiat currency again, and we'll never deal with greed again. And I could go into great detail at another time. I didn't want to dominate any conversation, but it's Silvo Gesell, and this was pre-World War I in Austria. And I believe that's what started World War II. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Todd. Yeah, we've been looking at different concepts in regards to the one small town movement, in regards to Michael Tellinger, the contributionism models, and we're looking also too at what Kim is creating in the quantum mapping system, and there's so much possibility, and it's very exciting on where we're going. It's incredible. Oh, good. Thank you, Todd. And does anyone else have any questions? Everyone completely understood the whole entire evening. I love it. You are all brilliant minds. Processing.
Just thinking about it.
Processing. Okay, so let's summarize. Okay, so you're here to release all fear of outer authority 100%, and what that looks like in your mind every single day, all of you. And we're also here to remind ourselves of the system that we've been in, and to know that if there's any part of our mind, especially in our relationships, especially with the people that we love, that we can show up in a completely opposite way, in that peaceful way, and to know that we're all here to master our emotions. We're here to master our mindset, to step out of that fearful place. And we're moving, of course, into greater love, higher levels of consciousness. And we all have that capacity, all of us. And you can see how the dark lords of this world are trying to collect as many souls as they can to take them with them. And we here, all of us, are bringing as many souls as we can into the light of consciousness and into the new earth, so that we can all rise up together. And of course, that darn Vatican. Did you know that the premier, every premier in Canada, right, has toured the Vatican, lower levels? Yes, they've had their rituals there. I have a friend of mine that I just actually went to see on the weekend, and she shared with me that her dearest friend grew up with our premier of Alberta, and he was a very different kid growing up, and he stepped into Freemasonry, and he was at the bottom level. He didn't really realize what was happening on the bottom, but as he moved up in the ranks, It's only the top levels of the Freemason that know exactly what's going on. A lot of the lower levels, they have no idea what's going on until they reach a certain level. And so, yes, the premiers are all Freemason. And they are all playing the game, playing the agenda, and they have no money to play with right now, zero money. All the money that they have to play with right now is what they are receiving with the vaccines, right? The masks, everything. So the more that we do not comply, the more we gain power. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here this evening. And we will move into a meditation. I'm going to take you on a guided visualization. And if you're not able to be here for the meditation, have an awesome rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you on the think tanks. And if you're in Alberta, join us for the Plan Council Alberta call tomorrow evening. Have a good night. I want you to now take a deep breath in, close your eyes. I'm just going to mute everyone. I will reach out to you, Dolores. Thank you, Yaz. Okay, so focusing on your breath. Eyes closed. You're breathing in to the count of 5 and breathing out to the count of 5. Slowing down. Slowing down to the speed of life. Just letting go of yesterday, letting go of tomorrow. And just stating to yourself, I resonate in peace. I'm releasing resistance. I now see my reality as kind and friendly. Just keep letting go, feeling your shoulders dropping. And just allowing for those moments of silence. And you're just tuning in and you're asking your higher self to be with you. And your higher self is always that aspect of you that is a mirror image of you. It's your future self, the self that is present in all time and space. And your higher self loves you unconditionally. Your higher self knows everything you've ever experienced, every tear, every laugh, every moment of joy. Your higher self is always with you in every moment. Your higher self is the best version of you. And if you could see yourself right now standing in a room, it's a white room, and I want you to see your higher self standing before you. And your higher self is completely free, prosperous, pure love, happy, kind, compassionate. And just become aware without any judgment. Become aware of the gap between who you are right now and your higher self. Is it a small gap or a very large gap, like a Grand Canyon gap? And it doesn't matter how big or small the gap is, you're on the journey to integrating your higher self. And just become aware of how connected or disconnected you feel, again, without any judgment. And just knowing that your higher self would never wear a mask. And you laugh. And so here now, I want you to see your higher self is placing their hand on your heart. Your higher self has a message for you, and I want you to give your higher self a voice. And this is all in your mind. You don't say anything out loud. And just be open to hearing the words, the wise words that your higher self has to share with you right now in assisting you in moving forward. So I'm just going to give you some space. Take your time, be open to receiving the message, and the message, the words you are to hear are for your highest good. Take a deep breath in. And right now, I want you to see your higher self becoming an incredible energy. And you can choose whatever color, blue, purple, gold. And their hand is placed on your heart. And you're now going to observe and feel the integration of your higher self, integrating into your physical body, integrating into every cell of your being. So you're integrating all of that love, prosperity, wisdom, higher knowledge, integrity, joy. Breathing that energy in to every cell of your body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Breathing in and just feel into the integration process and just hold space until you feel the completion, the 100% completion of the integration of your higher self. And now breathe from this place in the knowingness that you are one, in the knowingness that you are whole and complete. And now you walk out of the room, you see a door, you open the door, you walk out into a beautiful garden, green grass, blue sky, sun shining, and you stand facing the sun, arms stretched out, and you're saying out loud in your mind, I am reclaiming my personal power now. I'm reclaiming who I truly am as a sovereign. I am free. And so it is. Just stand here for a moment in silence. Just notice how you feel in your body. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, bring yourself back into your room. 2, bring yourself back into your physical body. Feeling your feet on the floor. And 3. And you're welcome to email me. I would love to hear how your journey was. Yes, Donna, we are free now. I do recommend that you continue your meditation. I meditate for an hour every day, even though I'm working long hours. My meditations keep me grounded so that I have the energy to do everything that I need to do. Meditation is where your power lies, my friends. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Have a beautiful evening. Love to all of you.
Thank you, Karen. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night, Karen. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody. This was awesome.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks for playing that video, Karen. It was neat.
Oh, I remember, but I was gonna play for you last week and I completely forgot.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. All right. I'll have to go to it again because it's a part that I wanted to hear again. But yeah, that was neat. I was trying to think because I think you mentioned my name. I was like, why did she remember mention my name? But I remember the thing I said about the soles of your feet before your feet touch the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, the link, I do believe somebody put it in the chat.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Right.